The idea would be to decide to divide, let's say, the talk in parts, and then I would like to do an exercise at the end. So I estimate to speak for about 40 minutes, a bit longer depending on the questions, and then you can decide at the end if you want to do the exercise or not. So it's up to you. Okay, I will explain the exercise later. So the way I would like to start is, first of all, really from the basics. I mean, so what is a grant, and why someone might want to apply for a grant. Then I will give a very few grant examples that I know of the resistance. In case someone else knows more, please let us know. Then I will try to do step by step, like what is required when you actually want to write a grant. I will give, if people are interested, some like advice regarding the Marie Curie, because that's the grant that I won. I know that many people are interested in it, so in case I can actually show how the template for this grant looks like. Because I know that many people every time ask me, what is a template? So I actually reported the template here, and we can see it. And then I will give some of my personal experience that I had during writing the Marie Curie grant. So as a first step, so what is a grant? So generally, we define grant like a competitive funding awarded by governments, foundations, or institutions. Then why people might want to apply for a grant is because it can support research, it can support training, it can support also traveling or specific project and so on. And also the good things about the grant is that once you get it, you got it. So it means that it's very, so the money are yours, so you still have to follow a project, but maybe people don't really look at what you said that you're going to do. So that's a nice thing for grant. So once you got it, it's a nice thing that you have. Then, so why one would like to apply for this? So, as I said, they cover research, travel, living expenses. In particular, having grant for people that would like to stay research help you a lot for enhancing your academic and professional profiles. In particular, when you want to become a professor or you apply for permanent position, if you want a grant, you show that you are able to also get money not for you, but also for other people, for instance. So this is a huge plus in this case. Then obviously, having grant help you create opportunities, networking, and collaboration. Because sometimes what happens, if you have a grant, you are able free to move from one place to the other, so you are able to visit other groups and work with other people. And also, as I said, so it strengthens independence and career progression. So these are, let's say, 4 main examples that I can give of why someone would like to apply for grant. So if you have questions, please stop me. Yes? I think sooner or later a computer will be gone.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Where's it?
So, do you have also any tips on when to apply for grants? No, yeah, okay. No, because also I know that some of them are not for every stage of career.
Yeah, so you mean in terms of what level of career you want to apply to?
Yeah, for example, or even some of them are for permanent or not. Or
yes, I mean, general, obviously, when you are still on your PhD, obviously you have less experience, I think, to write grant. But doesn't mean that you do not have to start, because the problem of the grant is a huge process in the sense that if you win or do not win a grant, doesn't mean that you are good or not good, unfortunately, because it depends on so many factors also who read your grant. So maybe it might be that you write your grant during your PhD, and then somehow you have a good example after it's a good time to write it, and then you get it. Also, to be honest, depends a lot on how much people are going to help you. Mm-hmm. Because something that maybe I find a bit unfair is like when you write grant, there are some people receive more help and people receive less help, but anyone knows this. So when like a reviewer did your grant, you're all on the same scale. So sometimes you have to, when you, for instance, you want to apply somewhere, maybe you have to know beforehand to whom you are applying, and if you know if this person is going even to read your grant. That's something that one has to do a bit more, can I say, think beforehand. And regarding your question, like there are some, so that the Marie Curie action is actually for postdoctoral. So there, I think I also wrote down a bit of few like more guidelines. But here you already have to have your PhD, or you have to have finished your PhD like already when the results are going to be like available. The same like for this DAT prime, these are above this you need your PhD. For this ESA fellowship, a friend of mine got it while he was still doing the PhD, because as soon as you get your postdoc, when you have to start your grant. Like supposedly, so I think the ESA fellowship, the deadline is middle of September, but then the results are like after February, so much later. But then, so if you are PhD, but then you get your PhD degree the other September, so the year after, then it's fine, because you will start the grant when you got your PhD. And if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So depending when you have to start it. So some of them is fine even if you are still on your PhD.
But I guess my question is also like, how established do you have to be to start writing grants? Like, okay, so those are maybe for postdoctoral fellowships.
Yes,
and
so I have to be honest, like when I got the Marie Curie, I thought I would never got it. I really, to be honest, because I don't have thousands of publications. I'm more I will not say an experimentalist, but compared to people that are theoreticians, I will call them, they are much more paper than me. So for me, really was the project and the way I wrote it, the wording that I use, I will explain later, that makes the difference. So it's true that obviously if you have more collaboration, more like networking, more people know you, it might be that even a reviewer is going to know you when you review the grant. So that plays a huge role, but actually not often. Many of the things is how you present your project.
Yeah, okay.
That's so I really will encourage everyone, even because I'm the first one. I always think I'm not enough compared to, because we are all super good, but actually things happen.
Yeah, that's kind of my
so
question.
I would suggest, because otherwise you don't go anywhere. Or you try, or you are already done for this field.
Okay, thank you.
It's very competitive, unfortunately. So yes, I was a bit reviewing. I give some links so actually you can check it out. So regarding this one, I can be more useful for the Marie Curie and for the DAD, because each you actually tried them and won them. Then the ESA fellowship I tried, I didn't want it, just to come back to your example. So I know a bit how does it work, but maybe, so I really don't know up to the end how you really have to write this to get it. And then this one, I know that they are, but I don't have any idea because I never tried it. So I know that some people are trying to apply for this Humboldt Foundation. I will explain better what they are. Then, so this is for, so as you see from the flags, that's Germany, that's Germany. So both of them are for staying in Germany. This is obviously to work at ESA. This is, you can work everywhere you want. Then there is, this one is for Switzerland, and I think it's again a postdoc level. And this one is for French. And if I'm not wrong, this one is also for PhD, right? I think you, Danny. This is not for a postdoc, only also for PhD, the CNES? Yeah, both, okay.
You can have like either a PhD or a... Thank you. You can either have apply for a PhD or for a postdoc. But for the PhD, it's a bit different because I think CNES is going to fund you only half of your salary. The other half must come from the university, if I'm not wrong, if I remember correctly. Or another institution, yeah, I mean.
Okay, thanks. No, because, so by the way, guys, I will maybe put also my PowerPoint in available. So in case any of you know more of this, you can just put another page and put what you know at the link, so you all have this. That'll be useful for everyone. Now, here I just give a brief overview of what I know. So regarding that prime, this is actually 12 months plus 6, and is mostly for people that see a permanent position in Germany. So the idea is like you spend 12 months in EU, outside EU, and then you have to compulsory come back 6 months in Germany. And in general, it's made with the German university, and the closing of the deadline is in August. This grant is actually the same kind of, so you need to write as much as Marie Curie. So there are kind of 10 pages that you have to write a proposal. And different from the Marie Curie, you really have to have a strong reference letter from your PhD supervisor. If I'm not wrong, my PhD supervisor has really to compile lots of files. So you have to have a PhD that really a PhD supervisor that supports you and want to spend time in writing part of this. Then there is ESA fellowship. So this is 2 years with an extension of 3 years. And as I was saying, you can apply also even if you didn't finish the PhD, as soon that you finish your PhD when you have to start the program. Then I think you have to, your nationality has to be one of the ESA members. And then you can do suggest whatever project you want to suggest, as soon as it's inside the ESA program. So it can be space science, technology, or whatever. So as to have some interaction or interest in people working on ESA. So this means that you can even spend 20% of your time supporting activity that they do at ESA. And the only thing here is that you have to be very independent because there is no supervisor here. So there are like different steps, if I'm not wrong. So when there is the first thing that you apply with your proposal of 4 pages. So it's much shorter compared to other fellowship. But then I think they have a sort of registered interview. So it means that there is like a CD that ask you questions, and then you have to answer to the question. They get recorded, and then someone else is going to review this recording. Then there is a sort of jamboree. It's like many steps. Then there is a jamboree, means that I think you with the other candidates join all together a Zoom call, and each of you has to present their projects. And then I don't know if there is another stage or actually formal interview. So this is actually pretty long and painful for this kind of, of fellowship. And then you're really to be independent. So I think if you go there, you don't expect anyone to supervise you really. So it's better if you do that when you have a ready connection outside, so you're sure that you can be nicely independent. I keep going, okay. Then this is the famous one. So there are two types of fellowship. So one is the standard one of 2 years, and then there is the global of 3 years. The difference is that the standard one is only Europe. The global, you are obliged to do 2 years outside Europe and 1 year in Europe. So the requirement is that you have to have completed the PhD maximum within 8 years. So if you are older than 8 years of your PhD, you cannot apply for this. And then there is some kind of mobility rules. So this means that, so for instance, I'm in Germany. So I just started my PhD in Germany. Sorry, I started my postdoc in Germany. If I apply for this Marie Curie, as soon as I arrive in Germany, it's fine. But if I wait, I don't know, another year that I'm already in Germany, I cannot apply for this because I already passed like 1 year in Germany, to let you understand. So that's the mobility rules. And it's open to all research field, and the timeline, I think, open in April and close around September. If you don't have question,
Is that like first, does it matter when I submit my application? No, it was just like, do I have to submit it? Doesn't matter when I submit the application. Do they start reviewing it immediately? Like, is it like a first come, first serve kind of a basis?
No. Okay, so once you cannot imagine what is writing a Marie Curie. So I really doubtful that you're able to submit before September. Because so the thing is, at the end, the format is always the same. But you have to look for every year because, let's say, it's a new format. So it might be new rules, for instance. Even if at the end are the same. So when they open, you have to go, I will explain later, but you have to contact an host that has to agree that he can host you. You have to think a proposal. You have to coordinate with him to write a proposal, and so on. And then there are lots of sections that you have to write. It's very I don't know. So there are 10. So the pages are 10. I don't remember exactly the point that you have to write, but you really have to be very careful on the templates here. So they really have like a fact sheet, and then they check that you have wrote exactly what you're supposed to do, and they mark. So it's very like a schematic. So in theory, if you want, you can also submit, I don't know, in May, whatever. It's not first come, first serve. Although, it depends if your host want to host you. Like for instance, if I want to do a Marie Curie with the place A, it might be that the guy that agrees already to do a Marie Curie with me will not agree to do with you, depending. So some agree with more people, some not. Then, now we start more on the hands-on section, let's say. I don't know if you have any questions or any comments regarding this. No, okay. So that's what I was saying. So when you write a proposal, most of them are always the same regarding the points that you have to answer. So first of all, you have to express in your project the quality and the relevance of the project research. That's the first point that every time somehow has to appear in what you're writing. Then you have to consider your personal preparatory work, means all your experience in terms, I don't know, PhD, postdocs, or papers, or whatever you have done, that are actually linked with what kind of research you want to do. I will then go more into detail on this. Then the other point is that you have to have a very detailed research plan, that is so-called named Gantt chart, and this has to include the strategy, the method, the risk that you might have during your research, and what kind of tools you want to use, and what kind of idea you have to mitigate in case you have risk in your research. Then the other thing that you have to include is the quality of the host institution, means let's say what are the characteristics of the supervisor that you are going to work with. Like for instance, what kind of paper they have written, what kind of other successful student they have had, what kind of institution you are going to go, like in terms of labs, or in terms of whatever they have. Again, I will then spend more time in each of these points. Then important is the impact of the project. So when you write something, you always have to explain what kind of impact your project is going to have. That's very important because obviously when you want to sell something, you have to sell in a way that is going to be something important. Otherwise, why they should give money to you? And the last thing that looks not important, but actually it is, every time you have to underline what kind of activity you want to do, in the sense of how you plan to disseminate, so like makes public the project you have done, so like advertise your work, and that can include like going to conference, organizing workshop, or whatever you want to do. So these are like one of the main points that I'm going now to explain more into detail.
Oh, sorry.
Nice. So some of the grants, there's a quite strict page limit. Would you say, like, for example, I never, like, some of the research statement has to be 3 pages, including references. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, would you, for example, put, I would like to organize workshops, things like that? Because then if you write this, then you're going to take away from the research, which is already quite condensed. I don't know if you have any...
like, sometimes depend on grant, for instance. One of the things that I know, and this idea of public, like, so for instance, your research is like data analysis, so you are going to develop tools. Mm-hmm. And since this money sometimes, most of the time, are from the States, so the idea that stuff has to be public is something important. Like, if you develop your stuff only for you, they might say, but then, I mean, why I should give you the money if it's not like something that everyone can take advantage of. Mm. So it's true that if you have 4 pages, I mean, maybe I will not write half of the page, but just like 1 line, I don't know. At the end, I will spend, so it's 2 years, no? You do 2 years developing this stuff, and then at the end, I plan to present my job in this conference at this time. 1 line, something like that. Okay. Just show that you have idea that your work is not like only for you. Okay. Okay, then it's just some things. So like I always say that it's better to keep in mind the so-called bigger pictures. What I mean is that every time try to be very schematic, so when you write, because sometimes you can get lost of what you're writing. So what very important is to have like every time objective, methodology, and outcomes. So indeed, I think when you are a reviewer and you review something, if really things are very clear, like divided, or is really clear, so if for the reviewer it's clear where he has to find things, it's much easier to review. So that's why it's always nice to write some kind of schematically. Then you have to have in mind that also similar to what Jean-Baptiste told you when you were doing the oral presentation, that most of the time, no specialists will review your application. Can be obviously gravitational wave specialists, so they know what are you speaking about, or maybe don't do MC, then don't do waveform, and so on. So avoid indeed to use like heavy jargon, or to suppose that people that are reading know exactly what you're speaking about. Then you have obviously to explain the impact, so the importance of the research that you are doing, because maybe for you it's obvious, but not really. So like the way sometimes I notice that when people are writing, they think that it's obvious that your research is important, but maybe not. Like if I'm not an expert, I may not understand the details of why your research is important. So it's every time very important to like really explain to a child why what you are doing make a difference. Then you have to show that what you are doing is going to fill a current gaps. So it's not that you are repeating something that has already been in the literature. That's something that also is important to underline, and actually how then you want to push forward with the project you are going to do. And if it's possible, although for us it's more difficult because we are doing gravitational waves, but sometimes I know people that try to connect to like social situation and so on. So for us, maybe it's more linked that you can like connect to scientific or technological needs. So since we are more like in this kind of branch, I would say. So this will be like my main take points. Then something that you should do and that you shouldn't do. So first of all, there are some like fellowship like Marie Curie, where the templates is very important. So you really need to read the templates and the requirement of them very carefully, because maybe I will explain later, like Marie Curie has section. If you write something in one section instead of the other, they will give you 0 score. So that's why you really have to read very carefully the template in case there is one. Then again, when you write, actually sometimes it's useful if you put some sentences in bold. Because if someone is reading, and you have like pages and pages, if I see some sentences in bold, for me, it's actually useful because I can very quickly screen to the proposal, and then I can read them deeper in a later stage. Then, if it's possible, it helps actually include like scheme, picture, or whatever. It can actually also include readability and also the visualization. Because if I have a wall of text, it might be less nicer instead if I have like some nice picture or some nice scheme, for instance. And this already said to avoid like to heavy jargon. So try to explain actually what you are speaking about. So this is the do. Then they don't, and again, you don't have to assume that your reviewer is expert. And also avoid to put too many things. Because if you start to write blah, 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 then people get lost. So try to, again, be schematic and to avoid to lose like the reader. Sometimes it's better, less things that you write more than to put in too much. Ah, yes, I don't
know. How much of, so I see that we have different sections, and each section has a bunch of questions. How much of grant writing or these fellowship writing is just answering those questions, and how much of it is this artistic writing? You know, oh, you got to make sure you tell a story and all that. Or can I just stick to just using simple words, not too much jargon, just answering the questions?
To be honest, so I think actually for me, sometimes you just have to answer the question. Okay. So in this, like I don't know. For instance, if maybe I just do a jump and then I go back because it's easier to answer to your questions.
Okay.
I need this to let you understand. Then, so this is the Marie Curie, okay? So this is the kind of template you have to have. There are different sections here, as you see. And you really have to answer section by section and really answer exactly what they're asking you. Because they have like score and they look. Because you might not understand anything of what you're doing, but if you write in a logic way, so they can find I don't know, so you have a fact sheet with score, they can just find in the fact sheet what is written there, so they put score. That's the way they judge it. So it depends from the grant that you're writing. And most of the time, you are really to express this concept in this way. At least that was my experience. Obviously, the way you're writing is like, if you are native speaker English, I think you will obviously write better than someone who is not maybe native speaker. Also, the way things are written make a difference, obviously. But yes, I will more try to answer to what is required to you. And maybe then you write some blah, blah, blah in addition. But it's better to... Okay, now I will start to go one by one, all the points that I listed. So the thing is regarding the quality and the relevance of the project research. That's in general is the first point that I always ask you when you write this grant. So what is this point about? It's about 3 main points. So here, in this part, you have to write regarding the context and the background of your research. So whoever does, I don't know, data analysis, waveform or whatever, you have to, like, I don't know, you are developing a OAB model or whatever, and then you have to explain a little bit what is the story of this model, for instance. And then you can say, my model is better than this for these reasons. So here, the current knowledge and limitation you need. So you can say why your project, so why at the moment there are like some limitations, and what is the current project, the current knowledge, and then you can say, so my research is going to go beyond this for these reasons. And this is inside the so-called proposed research, so the objective, methodology, and the novelty. So here in general, that's what actually a friend of mine told me as an advice, but I think it was very useful. So when you write like a research proposal, in general the first 2 pages are the one that are very counting, because people are the first one they are going to read. So in general you have to try at the very beginning to put like some count, everything that you want to convey, because the reader will already understand if he's interested or not in your project. Otherwise you might already lose them after the first 2 pages. So this means that at the first 2 pages, the reader has to be able to understand the entire project at a glance, recognize the important originality and feasibility immediately of your project, and then be motivated to explore further. So this is actually my advice when you're going to write your grant, and it's actually the exercise that we're going to do at the end, if you want, guys. It's up to you. Then, regarding the personal preparatory work, what I mean here, you have to demonstrate in this part that your background will equally qualify you for deliver the project you want to do. So this means that if you want to do whatever project you want to do, you have to underline the fact that any kind of career milestone that you have reached, so PhD, postdoc, and so on, are actually important for the kind of project you want to deliver. So the key achievement, publication, recognition, leadership roles means like can be whatever. So for instance, if you want to list your publication, but just do not list your publication, but list your publication in terms of what is linked with them. Like I don't know, I developed this model and this model is in this publication, or like whatever kind of role you have during the day, your career. For instance, if you lead any kind of working group, if you are sharing any kind of activity and so on. So try to put like in a sequential way everything that you have done that you think might be relevant for the kind of project you want to do. Here I'm going to be a bit more specific. So as I said, you can describe what kind of bachelor, master, PhD you have got, or you can outline how each step on your career help you to arrive to get your expertise that are needed for the project you want to do. You can list what kind of major results or innovation are linked to any of the publications. For instance, if you want to do data analysis or whatever, you can say, I was the pioneer of using this technique for that problem, and then you list a paper that is linked to this kind of phrase that you are going to say. So every time try to be specific of what you are writing on the kind of example you want to do. You can also underline whatever prizes or fellowship you won, or again, what kind of role have you got, and so on. So this is a kind of things that is all every time inside the part of personal preparatory work. I don't know if there are any. I keep going. So this the one everyone found very difficult, like how to do a Gantt chart. So in general, every project asks you to somehow make a kind of plan of what you want to do and how you want to deliver your research. And this is a so-called Gantt chart. So this is just an example, just to show you how a Gantt chart might be built. So you see here like a table. So here on the left are the different working package, because in general, when you want to do like a project, you divide the project in different steps, and every step has to produce and deliver something. So in this case, I put an example of 7 working package. Then on top, you have the month. So for me, I have like 2 years, and so in these 2 years, I have to do some milestones and some deliverables. Here, so in green are the milestone, and in blue are the deliverables. So very important here is that you do not ever, every time a deliverable is a deliverable, a milestone is a milestone. So don't confuse the two. This is something that if you start to confuse them, then for instance, a reviewer that is going to review this will give you 0 score again. So here you have to be very precise of what you want to convey. And so like, so a milestone is like, I don't know, I'm going to, so you are going to code, to do a code, okay? So a milestone for you is that you start from A, you arrive to B, to this code. A deliverable is that you're going to deliver this code. So a deliverable is really an action that you're going to do. A milestone is something that you start from a point and then you arrive to the other point. I don't know if it's more clear. Then, yes. So what you can see in general, that there are some packages that might overlap. Like for in this case, working package 1, there are some periods where they overlap. Some other packages are not overlapping. This depends on what kind of project you are going to deliver. Then I want to say something else. No, I don't remember the moment. Yes.
Is it like the time, the months, or?
Here?
Yeah.
So in this case, these are the months. So months 1, months 2, up to months 24, because it was, for example, a 2-year fellowship.
But sometimes things takes longer, like
That's
always.
the risk, exactly. That's what I want to say, thanks. Okay, so the problem are the risk. So every time like you write a Gantt chart, so like really there is, so here you just see like letters, but actually what you do here, you always have a description of your Gantt chart. So for instance, I will say in my milestone 111, I will do this, and then you say, although, what happened, if you see that the working package 2 in this case depends on milestone 1.2. It might be that this milestone indeed, for some reason, doesn't work well, as you said. So here are the risks. So you have to acknowledge that you know that there is a risk for which maybe this milestone is not going as expected, but you know how to mitigate it. It's all logic, guys, really. So here, when you write this stuff, it's a sort of a logic where you say, I want to do this, but I know there might be, I don't know, my code breaks, so I discover that maybe this theory is not accurate enough, so I will have more time to do this, but then I have like a plan B. So every time you have to do these kind of games. Okay. And there are major risk or minor risk. As soon as you are you demonstrate that even if there are minor risks, your project can be deliverable in any case, that's fine. That's the kind of idea that is behind.
This applies also if maybe the last milestone depend on the results that you get for the first steps. For example, maybe you have to test something in the first steps, and then you have to do, like, to define multiple milestones or multiple deliverables that you will get at the end.
So you were asking what up that
like if you can also like define more in a specific way the case when you have maybe the first steps you have to test something, and so you will get different results depending on the test.
Yes.
And this will influence all the other steps, so you don't have like a clear way of what your deliverables will be in the last few months.
Okay, so in general, this is okay, as soon as somehow you are able to explain that, so you cannot write don't have an idea, because obviously that is going to be successful. So what you have to write, for instance, like when you do something, somehow you know what kind of results to expect. Like, for instance, if it goes very well, you are going, I don't know, to discover a new model of physics. If it goes very bad, you are not going to discover, like, you are going to discover a less accurate model, let's say. But this is okay, so that's what you have to say. Like, if I want to do this project, I know what kind of example I can give. Okay, it's very like random. So suppose you want to do this project because you want to find a way to discover new role for general relativity. Okay, so you are going to say, with me this project, I will be able to see that general relativity doesn't work. Random, okay. So that's your goal. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you are very good, you are able at the end to deliver the fact that general relativity doesn't work. Although it might be that something goes not as predicted, so maybe you put an upper bound. So that's what I'm saying. So every time you can be, like, arrive to the top, or you can arrive to the middle. But that's fine, that's a risk. So you say, I know the risk that it might be that I'm not able to arrive to the end, but that's fine, because in case I will put an upper bound and no one has done so far. Just so that's very practical, that's the way you have to proceed. Okay. Also here I give some tips for do and don't. So in general, for this Gantt chart, so you have to define your objectives very clearly. And so you have to, each objective has to be inside this work package that I show you. Then, so the Gantt chart has to be readable. So this one, as I show you, was readable. If you start to put 50 things one all together, overlap in different colors, no, because people cannot read it, and so it's not good. And then every time in this Gantt chart, also you have to develop some kind of training with the people that you're going to visit. So your supervisor, you know, you have to write a way that how he's going to supervise you, what kind of transfer knowledge you're going to have between you and the host that you're going to go. And then again, the risk and the corresponding plan that we were already mentioning. So here I go a bit quick because we already spoke about this. So don't confuse milestone and deliverables. Also the Gantt chart, so in general, its own space itself. So don't put something very small that is not nice or not legible. Then also very important, so the Gantt chart at the end is always coming at the end of the project. So avoid to add new information, because the Gantt chart has exactly to reflect what kind of project you want to give. So don't start to add a new working package or new ideas at the level of the Gantt chart, because otherwise, so will not make sense with respect to the plan that you already wrote before. And again, so this means that all the proposals to be coherent. That's very important. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there are like intermediate reports and like they review your performance through the year. So during those periods, can you somehow update some of the things, your milestones and everything? Or you have to stick to the initial plan always?
But that's when you get the money. You mean after you get the grant? Huh?
After you get the grant and during... Okay.
The problem is to get the grant, then, I mean, okay.
Okay, we can do anything.
I'm joking here. No, I'm joking. Like, I'm really trying to joke with you. No, I mean, the main problem is to get the grant. Obviously, when you got it, you cannot do something completely different, because, I mean, also your supervisor, the people that agree to host you, but then it's much more relaxed.
Okay.
In general, so when you write grant, every time you have to be very ambitious, because people say, yeah, I mean, that's not ambitious enough, and then they don't fund you. Although, I mean, you don't have to be completely like something that is not reliable, obviously. But yes, so that's a different problems. I will not worry about it. Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify again what you meant by don't add new information or project ideas. That's probably clear, but I just wanted to make
sure. So you started your writing your project, and so you said at the very beginning, at the very first section, I spoke about the impact, the excellence, and so on. And so you write what you want to do, what are the objective of your work, what kind, I don't know, conference you want to go, and so on. So at the very beginning, you will already write something. Okay. When you arrive at the level of the Gantt chart, for instance, if you said before that you want to analyze model A, in the Gantt chart, don't introduce a model B, because the model B was not introduced before. I don't know if that's the idea. So don't start to add new things that you want to do that was not. I don't know if it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not the sort of thing that would make them think they had missed something.
Exactly. So the thing is, when the Gantt chart is really a plan, so you are really going to explain somehow month by month how you intend to do your project. Okay. So since you already explained your project has to be including these month by monthly things. If you start to add, I don't know, maybe a practical example. So you said that you are going to, let me think. Maybe practical, you are going to present at this conference, you already said before, then in the Gantt chart don't add another conference that is not linked to the conference before, but in general, so just try to really divide the work that you already described in the month that you want to deliver it. Okay, we are almost at the end. So the other thing is regarding the impacts. So all the proposal is very important to underline what kind of impact it's going to have. So you have to use specific example, means that don't just say we'll have an impact, you have to say we'll have an impact for this reason and that reasons. So in particular, there are different kind of impact that you can have. So you can have an impact regarding how will impact the science itself, so your field, how what you're going to do will help other research. Also regarding the impact for yourself, so what kind of impact is going to have in your career. Like for instance, if I want a Marie Curie or whatever fellowship, then is the likelihood that I'm going to have a permanent position is higher. That's an example of the impact. So this means that you have to avoid every time vague statement and try to put something concrete, something measurable, something that is kind of obvious and objective that is going to help you in your career or help you help the other research. That the research that you are going to do, that you are deliverable, will also help other people that are doing the same things that you are doing. Then regarding the quality of the host institutions, so in general, when you are going somewhere, you have also to describe why where you are going is important to you and what is adding to you. Like for instance, so if you want to go to some kind of institutions, you want to do, I don't know, data analysis, you have to underline, I go to this institution because it's the best in data analysis, I don't know, in machine learning or in whatever fields you want to do. Then you have to also underline, if you're an experimentalist, maybe you want to go, I don't know, to MIT because they have a fantastic lab, more than to go into a theoretical institute. So you have to underline why you want to go to this institute and what kind of facility in terms of lab, instrument, in terms of people the institute has. Also, another important thing is the following. If you go to, you have also to underline what kind of track record your supervisor had. So if you are going to work with this person, you have to say this person has a long track record of other people that already won Marie Curie. So this shows that this person already knows how to work with people with Marie Curie, for instance. Or you can say this person that I know that has worked with this professor, now is successful, so this professor helped him in becoming, I don't know, a professor or whatever it is. So that's also a track record of the person where you're going to work with them. And so this means also the mentorship and know-how. So you also have to underline how the professor is going to guide you towards a project you want to do. Also, actually, what kind of exchange of knowledge you're going to have between you and the hosting institutions. Then that's the last slide. So regarding the overview. So it's very important that the so-called to include also the disseminations and the communication activity that you are going to plan during your fellowship. So in particular, what kind of conferences, workshops at school you want to attend. So since you are receiving money, after the money can also be used to travel and to attend conferences. But in this case, it's better to be specific. Like for instance, I plan with the money that we receive with my fellowship to visit, I don't know, the LISA symposium next year, or a plan, for instance, to do also outreach activity. Because again, since the money that you receive are mostly from state, so they are happy if you actually use money also in a common activity that other people can enjoy too. This means, for instance, I don't know, you participate in an outreach event or whatever, like event also your country organizes. And so again, you have to, every time to be precise, and if it's possible, at least that's what I do, I always include this kind of outreach activity or like conferences or whatever in the Gantt chart. So you have all plan, or all the month and so on, how you want to spend the money that you are going to give, and consequently your project. Now, so I don't know if people, so here I have a few slides regarding the Marie Curie, but if people are not interested, I will directly jump to the exercise that I was thinking of doing. I don't know if any of you want ever to apply to a Marie Curie, or
yes.
I keep doing, okay. So regarding the Marie Curie, so the research area means that you have to find an host institutions. So European host institutions. Global, you have to find 2 host institutions. So one outside Europe and one inside Europe. This is a bit more, let's say, trivial and complicated for the global. So something that is important, although I couldn't, for time reason, be able to exploit this. So the Marie Curies, every time at the level of the nations. So for instance, in Germany, they have contact point that you can contact to ask for help. They can actually review your Marie Curie. So, for instance, if you want to apply to Germany, you will inform your institutions, and in general, in this case, I don't know, Max Planck or whatever, and if you inform them that you want to do a Marie Curie with them, they will also give you the contact of this national contact point. So if you write your Marie Curie in time, I don't know, like August, then they can even review. That can be helpful because they are completely external people. They are trained to like write Marie Curie, and so they can help you. And also they organize like seminars. I participate in, I think, seminar one for the Marie Curie grant applications, grant writing. And so that's something useful. And the working condition, I mean, it's a full-time contract that you have.
Not specifically for this, but in terms of the host institution, do they need to have like that exact topic there, or you can just build your own group somehow, or just be the only person there who is going to do this kind of research? Like if you have a niche topic and then you can't really find anyone else to.
No, I mean, so the way it works, so you have to, so idealistically, when you want to go somewhere because where you go is an aspect of what you want to learn.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we'll not, so like, I don't know, if you want to learn machine learning, I have to contact an host that is aspect of machine learning. I'm not going to contact an host that is an aspect of theoretical waveform because it doesn't make any sense. So so I can ask you the question, why you want to go there then?
It's a nice place.
They have a swimming pool. No, I mean, you have to, so in this way you have to find, so when you write grant, it's always like half-half. So from half, you're going to learn from them, and from the other half, you're going to bring your knowledge. So that's also important. Like if you're an expert in something, you will go there, so you'll bring your expertise to them, and then they will give the expertise back to you. It always has to be an exchange. Okay. So you have every time to find something that fits somehow.
Okay. And yeah, another thing which could be useful is they have very good computational resources, and could that be a selling point of a host institute? When you go somewhere, you always work with, up to now, we work with people. I don't know in the future what it's going to be. But since you work with people, I mean, the person itself is not a computational resources. So, yeah. So, okay, the computational resource will help you in case you want to do, like, I don't know, high level of data analysis computations, but you always have to underline some properties that the people, because so this kind of fellowship, so, okay, so it's not an ARC grant, that's a different things. So the ARC grant is like really another level, but I think was not neither for me, it's not for this audience. So it's where you actually are independent. So you apply for this money to build out your own group, and that's what you're saying. Okay. This one is always a supervisor, so you're always at a step below. So the host has to give you something. See. Okay. Now this, I think I have 2 last slides on the thing. So from my personal experience regarding my Marie Curie process. So that's what I was saying at the beginning, that I always try, because also myself, I never thought to be able to get one. So also, like, if you know people that are friends of you that want a Marie Curie, it's very important to speak with them and ask for help, because for me it was very useful.
like really friends of you that are okay, give you tips, or let you read your Marie Curie, or go through, or help you in this. For me, was very fundamental. Then, again, try to choose an interdisciplinary topic, because the more it is interdisciplinary, the more it looks like nice, looks appealing for the reviewer. Then I was very specific and methodological, so I was really trying to be schematic, to answer to each of the points that have been requested to answer, and so on. So it's also very the structure that counts, because since the reviewer really has scores that they have to give to you, they will try to look at the kind of score on your what you have written. So they need to match my match. So that's one of my advice that I'm giving you. Then also, again, the reviewers are not from your field, so try to explain what you want to do and why it's important. So try to follow each section very carefully, because for the Marie Curie, as I show you these templates, there are different points, and there you have to put the information. So like, for instance, so in the excellent part, first point, they ask you quality and pertinence of the project research and innovations. So this point you have to put here. If maybe for mistake you put like here, they put you 0, guys. So you really have to follow what is written there and really like put in the boxes what has been required to you. And yes, so that's my last point. So reviewer always have a detailed evaluation grid, and they try to grid them for each session. No, so here, okay, that's, see, I will put the slide so in case you can just look on this. So when you try to apply for a Marie Curie, there are 2 parts. One part B1 and one part B2. So this is more like technical. So this is your CV, and this part, in theory, your OC solution should help you with filling this stuff. This part is really the kind of template you are going to have, and then you need to write on this template. So you have to do a maximum 10 pages and to fill the different points. Now, I was thinking of doing an exercise. We have kind of 1 hour. I will tell you my idea, and then if you want, you can do it. Otherwise, I mean, we do something else. So my idea was the following. I was trying to let you write the first part, that is the most difficult part of the Marie Curie. That is about 2 pages. I will tell you what is my idea, okay? So in this part, what you have to do? You have to write, so this point has to be included in this part. So you have to show the proposed research, so the goal of your research. So objective and innovation. Second point, contents and background. Third point, current knowledge and limitations. What kind of method you want to use, and the impact. Obviously, 2 pages have to be like more concise, must to give the idea. And how to do it. So we have about, let's say, 1 hour, so up to 7. And my idea was to divide you in groups, like 2-3 people, in base of the expertise. So it would be nice if you group in base of the same expertise. Like, I don't know, people doing data analysis group, people doing waveform, and so on. So you can write like half an hour this, and then you exchange your tests with other people that are of different fields. And the other people will try to find what you have written at this point, and then try to score them. That's something that I was thinking could be actually useful. And then if you have a question to me, you can ask. If you don't want to do that, it's fine. It's up to you. You can do this exercise or not. That's my suggestion. Because in theory, we have another hour. You can tell me, guys, if you want to do that or not.
I mean, how much serious this
it's not serious.
project?
No. I mean, it's not particularly serious. Like, I don't remember what you do.
No, but does it have to sound reasonable, or it can be like, I mean,
I want to solve quantum gravity, right?
No, but do you think this could be an idea to share ideas and also like?
For me, the idea was mostly that I think when you start writing, and then when you switch the proposal, you understand what I was speaking about. Okay. Because sometimes it might be that you don't. So what I might say, I might lack like people of a different field from you might not understand even what you've written, because you didn't like explain in basic words what you want to do, or what you want to achieve. Well, I don't know, but it doesn't have to be a huge, it's up to you guys, I mean, otherwise we go home. I don't get personally offended, because I mean, I won the Marie Curie, so I don't need this. You know, you can decide.